Hi, folks. We are live in the afternoon. Don't really have anything specific that we're looking to address this afternoon. We have a premiere coming up this morning or this evening, and wanted to let you guys know about that. The premiere is at 8:15 Central Time this evening, and after the premiere, we'll be back here live again. This story that premieres this afternoon or this evening is the, some unique things about the story. The big one is that the story is told by a father, and we only have a few stories in the series that are told by a father. And so, a story coming from a father, I think has a little has a different feel, and it's an impactful story. When we were doing the editing, it got me choked up a few times. So it's an impactful story. But so I wanted to come on this afternoon to give you guys a chance to talk in a real open kind of format where we can talk about whatever. So for starters, I wanted to share with you guys, those of you that are here with us, we recorded an interview here in the Texas Picture Studio a few days ago, and I thought I would share with you just a couple of minute segment of behind the scenes stuff from when we were shooting the interview here. I thought you guys might find it interesting. So uh, we will cue that up, and here we go. So okay, so that's when he was older, old enough to drive, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what about younger? Did y'all get along? Were y'all?
We would fight. I actually used to bite myself, and then I would tell my mom that he bit me. Um, so I would get to bite him back, and it worked for like years until my mom saw me do it one day, like saw me bite myself. I got in a lot of trouble for that.
As you should. Holy cow! Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
My sister's 5 years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 years. Yeah. So she never thought of that. So as you got older, got into high school, and guys started coming around. That had to be pretty scary for the guys too.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
And do you play any instruments?
He played guitar and harmonica. He had this strap thing so he could play harmonica while he played the guitar. um,
Yeah, like Bob Dylan.
yeah,
So there. So I don't know. I'm not hearing this. Isn't that weird? Okay then. So there we go. Sorry. So what'd y'all think? That was kind of interesting, right? I see we have 11 people in the group here, and please feel free to shoot out some questions or comments. First off, were you guys able to hear the audio from that little segment? The storyteller tells a great story about this thing that her brother did growing up that I thought was kind of hilarious. But anyway, so later on we might show that clip one more time, just as the as the audience grows. So here we are, folks, and I wanted to just leave things open for you guys to ask whatever kind of questions you like. We don't have a premiere that we're going to be talking about right now, and so things can be a little bit more wide open. We can talk about fentanyl, or we can talk about human trafficking or whatever. But I wanted to do this opportunity. I wanted to take a little bit of time to figure out a little bit of uh, new software involved and take a chance on understanding better how it works by going live for a while. So hopefully everything will be invisible as long as I don't unplug my earphone again. But otherwise, just wanted to take a little time to visit. So who's in the audience? Who's with us? Where are you guys at? What part of the country or what part of the world are you in? We're usually not live this time of the day. Here it is almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you guys, not hearing from you. So I put a message in the chat box. I hope you guys are with us. That those of you who are watching using your smart TV, you can get onto YouTube on your phone as well and engage with the chat, ask questions or make comments or whatever by doing that on your phone while you're still watching on the TV. And so that's a great way to kind of make the best of, kind of have the best of both worlds. So who's with us? Do we have any of the usual suspects that we have here on the channel? Maybe Brenda or Brad, Carla, V, Nux. Any of you guys here midday? Celtic Forest Fairy. Hello from Ireland. Good to hear from you. Look at there, two people just like that. Miss Kira, I don't think I've seen either one of you in any of these live events before. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate you guys being a part of this. So, Celtic, do you follow the channel? Are you a subscriber? Do you see some of the fentanyl stories? 8 p.m. I've been near Ireland. I've been to England. I've been to Scotland. I don't believe I've been to Ireland though. And Miss Kita, where are you? What part of the world are you in? So I would guess that maybe you guys are subscribers to the channel. Doesn't really tell me here. So do you guys see the some of the fentanyl series? Maybe you've seen human trafficking stories or something else on our channel, addiction recovery stories. We have quite a few of those. I like Scotland and the UK, and I'm not on YouTube often. Okay then. So how did you find this live broadcast? Was there a notification or did you just happen to kind of stumble across it? How did that happen? I will go back and watch later. So the next one premieres in 7 hours, so that'll be an uncomfortable time for you to join the premiere, I imagine. But the next one is a story told by a father, and it's really powerful. And I really hope that it gets a lot of attention because fathers are so underrepresented in the series. That fathers aren't typically as willing to open up and share the same way mothers are. There's a kind of a social requirement that fathers hold it in. So it's great when a father goes beyond that and shares because other fathers for sure need to hear from fathers. That's so important. And users or potential users, those that are at risk, also need to hear fathers talk about the impact it all has on them. So that's all really important, I think. So you found us a few months ago, and I appreciate you being here. Is there much of an issue with fentanyl in Ireland? Does that is there much of that? Live things are kind of weird, aren't they? So I want to tell you guys about our upcoming schedule that we're going to be in Oklahoma City just for a get together. For anyone who wants to join us, we're going to be at Toby Keith's restaurant. We're going to be at Toby Keith's restaurant in Bricktown in Oklahoma City Sunday, June 15th at 2 o'clock until I don't know whenever. And anyone in the area is certainly welcome to join us. We are also going to be going from there. We're going to Wichita, Kansas, where we're going to spend 2 days shooting stories about fentanyl poisoning. I believe there's one or two stories that are addiction recovery stories, and there is, I think, one story that involves domestic violence. So that's going to happen in Wichita, and then from Wichita, we're going to Denver. And in Denver, we're going to be shooting stories about fentanyl poisoning, cannabis-induced psychosis. Most of the stories we shoot will be about that. And I believe also a domestic violence story in Denver. Later in the summer, we're going to be going back to Pensacola, Florida. We're going to be going to Portsmouth, Virginia, and then Seattle, Washington. So it's kind of a full schedule, but we're always game for going wherever. We have actually Celtic. We have actually received a couple of inquiries from the UK about us coming there to do some stories. So that could be interesting. I haven't. I've been there before, but it's been a while, and I think that would be that'd be a good adventure. I think. Huh. I just it just occurred to me the whole different power system there. I don't know if the video lights that we use will work there, but I'll figure that out. So not so much fentanyl, but I'm not sure. Sorry, I spelled that incorrectly. Yeah, it's close enough. I knew what you were talking about. So who else is with us? Who else can share a little bit about where you're at, where you're where you're from, what keeps you watching our channel. Actually, I've watched a few of your shows. I did not realize it was your channel. Oh, cool. So a few of the shows being the fentanyl shows, or some of the others. We have a set of productions that have to do with impaired driving, DWI. We have a series of addiction recovery stories and some other content. We have a documentary about distracted driving that we created for AAA, and we have a documentary about synthetic cannabinoids that we created for a municipality near Houston. So there's some other things tend to be stories that are socially relevant, things that help people. So hmm. So the story that is premiering this evening, I will get you guys a link, just to be thorough. Here is the link to the story that premieres this evening. The story this evening is about Timothy Wilson, and the story is told by his father. So I am going to put the link in the chat just so you guys have it. And so, does anyone have any questions about any of the other content on our channel? Maybe you're looking for a specific kind of story. I might be able to help you with that. We hear lots of stories, and sometimes I lose track of what story is about what. But some stories, like there's a story on our channel that's about a rehab broker. And I didn't before this storyteller came along, I had no idea that rehab brokers were a thing. So the rehab broker thing, that this rehab broker, according to the storyteller, gave their loved one money when he got out of rehab, gave him money to go test dirty so that he could get back into rehab and have a place to live. Kind of shocking. And since then, I've sort of been sensitive to the whole perspective of of rehab brokers being out there exploiting people that are trying to recover from an addiction. I have a message that says, it's okay. The message said that our bit rate had dropped, and now it says our bit rate is fine. I don't know. So I appreciate you guys being here. Who else is with us? Who else can share where they're at? That's crazy and sad. Yes. Yeah, the rehab broker thing, the level of exploitation involved in that is so wicked, it seems to me. We also have a recent story from Florida where the victim was at a high school graduation party. It was like a post graduation party. It happened a few weeks after graduation. But she tried something, and as she was slipping away, other people at the party just moved her to it was actually a camper that was in the backyard, and left her there. And they would check on her, and they would see symptoms of an overdose. She's unresponsive, shallow breathing, things like that. And they didn't do anything. She died there. And then 5, 6, 7 hours later, they moved her, put her in a car, drove her to a donut store, left her there, dead, and then called in a report to the police. These are these are high school kids that they just graduated high school. It's a bizarre story. The event, the storyteller was in Florida, but the event happened in North Carolina. The law enforcement agency that was involved really didn't care to do anything at all. There was a good trail of evidence that they just ignored. I appreciate you being here, Celtic. There's not hearing much from anybody else in the audience. Would kind of kind of helps if we get some feedback. It is such a terrible story. I didn't know the details of the story in advance. So when we did the interview, I'm listening to Wendy was the storyteller's name, and I'm listening to Wendy explain what happened, and I'd never heard anything like it before. And I've heard quite a few stories. We tried contacting the law enforcement agency, and they didn't respond in any way. The real creative minds. All right. You guys with your long screen names, holy cow. We will just call you Minds. How about that? That'd be all right. Thank you for being here, Minds. From Kentucky. We shot some stories in Kentucky. No, we shot stories in Tennessee, but a couple of the storytellers drove to Tennessee from Kentucky to participate in the event where we were shooting the stories. But we're always glad to come back. How are things in Kentucky? I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's my wife on the phone in the other room. So, Minds, what brought you to our channel? Was it the fentanyl stories, addiction recovery stories, something else, or something you just kind of stumbled across that you saw that we were live and thought you'd have a look? Hmm, goodness. So I appreciate you being here, Mind. I really appreciate when people join in on these live events. We didn't really plan this; just decided to uh, come on for a while. I'm trying out a little bit of soft software that that I think will be invisible to you guys, but it helps me over here. Thank you. Yes, I seen that story. Things are kind of like Texas. Yes, the fentanyl stories brought me here. So, yeah, we have in our series, there's over 250 stories. And most of the first 100 are from Texas. And of the last 150, 4 or 5 are from Texas, and the rest are from other parts of the United States. So I can share with you guys where we have been to record these stories. Here's the locations. Whoops. Let me just get that off of there. See, so maybe it's not moving so smoothly with this. So here's the places where we've shot, and you see we're in Kentucky, but not Tennessee. Yeah, Kentucky, not Tennessee. So there we go. Asheville, Kentucky, maybe. I don't know if that sounds right, but these are all the places where we've shot stories. And in addition to the stars that you're seeing there should be 3 more stars along the northern edge of Florida. And in a couple of weeks, there'll be a star in Wichita, Kansas, and then a star in Denver, Colorado. I am forgetting one. And then Seattle, Portsmouth, Virginia. That's the other one. The Louisville story, was that the Louisville story, was that Baby Cash? Is that right? Sadie, we're totally game for coming to New York. We are game for any place. Here's we really don't pick the spots. We hear from people who want us to come there. And then we sort out a way to make it happen. So we shot several stories in Kentucky, and one of them was Baby Cash, and there was another one. The victim's name was Brighton, who was 4 years old. But Sadie, totally game for coming to New York or wherever else. Yeah, the way it typically works is I'll get an email. I get an email or two virtually every day from someone somewhere who wants to share a story about their loved one, son, daughter, spouse, parent, whatever. And from there, binge watching. Good job. So we'll get an email from someone. And we'll explain to them how it works and what we need. And the first thing that we need is a local event coordinator, someone who can find us a location where we can record the interviews, someplace that is a good job, Sadie. Someplace that is a good quiet place that's large enough, like to fit a full size SUV or a little bigger, and that's enough space for us to set up and shoot the interviews. And it also needs a space next to it where people can wait and fill out forms and chit chat and all of that cool stuff. And then people start signing up. So we go somewhere like New York, and over the course of 2 days, we'll shoot 6 or 8 interviews a day. And that's it. We don't We don't charge anything. We don't pay anything. We cover our travel expenses, but always open to sponsors that might want to help with that. That would be nice. Rarely happens, but would be nice. So you were a fentanyl addict and you survived. So how long? How long have you been clean? I just jump right in. I don't. I have talked to so many people in recovery. I don't. I get. It's easy to get nosy. The better question than how long have you been clean? 5 years. That's awesome. That is awesome. So have you seen that we have a series of recovery stories? There's over 40 stories in there, and there's a few stories that are in both the fentanyl series and the recovery series. There's some that kind of cross over. And endocarditis. I'm sure I should know what that is, but it's not awesome. 5 years clean is not awesome. What are you telling me, Sadie? I was an IV drug addict and had a stroke at 25 years old. It's terrible. But you're still here. And just by what you're sharing, you're helping other people. Just sharing it right here, even though there's only two other people with us right now. Now, one of our stories, a fentanyl story that premiered just a couple of nights ago. It's one of there were three stories that are my Brother's Keeper series. And there's a woman, her name is Heather, and she tells a story about working her way through her recovery. And Heather's story is in the fentanyl series and in the addiction recovery series, so you may have come across it that way. Heather Coper is her name, and she's been through a lot. She had several strokes. Tough stuff. Tough stuff. But there is I want to say 45, 46 stories in our recovery series, and I think that you'll find some of those interesting. Heather Coper, yes, should be with a K, Koper. I hope we didn't spell it wrong. Yeah, uh, she has quite a story, and her husband's story is another one in the series. His name is Rudy. Yeah, I like that better. The other way makes me scared that we spelled it wrong. That some typo got past us or something. And I always find that alarming. So, so I don't know if you were here when I talked about it before, but the story that we have premiering this evening is a story told by a father. His name is Danny Wilson. There's more light in the recovery videos, I'm sure, because they didn't lose someone. Yeah, the recovery videos, they tend to be stories of victory. and so there's certainly a more positive aspect to them, but many times the storyteller has lost someone dear to them, or multiple people. They've lost multiple people to to fentanyl. So really, like in the case of Rudy Coper's story, he lost his brother to fentanyl. Huh, interesting. I'm just learning. I'm just just learning. So a lot of the fentanyl stories have. Sorry. So you're the one that is in charge of this channel. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm your guy. I'm the one who does all of the interviews, and there is also 4 other part-time editors who help us with the editing after the interview, and there is and there's my wife who does just an incredible amount of stuff, mostly behind the scenes, but organizational stuff, especially with coordinating the trips and scheduling people to share their story. So it is a tight little team. But yeah, I'm high commander, sort of. Well, best my wife is high commander, but so I appreciate that someone has to expose this evil. We are also starting a series of stories about domestic violence, and when we're in Denver, we're going to be in Denver in a couple of weeks. We're going to be shooting stories about cannabis-induced psychosis, which is more of a thing than I ever realized. And the way that topic came along is someone in Denver contacted us about this event they had going on, and we started talking about it and learning a little bit about it and things that happen in this psychosis, and decided that it would be a, a topic that's worth addressing. And holy cow, where better to address it than Colorado? Yeah, cannabis induced psychosis. There is a it's certainly a Google thing. We're going to try to put something on our channel about it before we go on the trip. When we go on the trip, it's going to be the the content of the channel always gets a little weird when we're on the road, because the opportunities to put up new content fluctuate, and there's a lot of other variables that interfere with how frequently we can post things. But we're going to try to do some things where we can have raw information showing up pretty regularly on the channel while we're on the road, particularly about cannabis induced psychosis. CIP is is how they address it. This conference that we're going to be a part of has people coming to Denver from all over the country to talk about this, and so it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of people on YouTube who are very defensive of cannabis, and so it'll be interesting to see how the commenters respond. But yes, Sadie, I really I encourage you to explore the channel and see some of those recovery stories. They're very heartfelt and uh, well they're stories of victory, and so I feel like stories of victory. I feel like it's important. So, how common is cannabis-induced psychosis? From what I've learned so far, it is not that common, but more common than what we hear about. So that's a good vague answer, isn't it? I'll know more in a few weeks, but I'm still learning about it. There's going to be stories very much like the fentanyl poisoning stories about loved ones who uh, get into that psychosis and do destructive things, harmful things. One of the people who's scheduled to do an interview with us, she was in California, and while in that psychosis, she stabbed someone 108 times, killed them, and then tried to kill herself. And somehow she was able to get probation for that. So she will be one of the people we interview in Denver. Maybe, maybe. The lace thing is also something that we're really trying to explore more about because marijuana that is laced with fentanyl is is something that draws a lot of dialogue, but it doesn't really. There's not a lot of evidence that supports it. There is some. There's definitely some, but there's also tons of evidence that says no, because there's a lot of people out there who'll say, well, all it was in his system was marijuana and fentanyl, so it must have been in the marijuana. No, that doesn't. Just because it's in their system in the toxicology report doesn't mean that they were used together. So, but PCP, things like that, there is extra potent marijuana out there now that is far more potent than what was available. Certainly, when I was a teenager, when I was in college, uh, compared to that, it is far more potent now. Even the dispensary stuff, but beyond that, some of the stuff that's on street level is even far more potent. Smoking fentanyl is the most common route of administration now. I personally never smoked fentanyl. Okay, that's true. But with fentanyl, smoking fentanyl is more like smoking crack. That it's on aluminum foil melted. That it's or it's in a pipe. It's not like it's not like smoking weed. The people who argue that it's not a threat, they say that the temperature of a joint is too high for the fentanyl to be effective. It just destroys it. That's one of the things that we've heard. I'm not saying that is the fact, but that is what uh, marijuana defenders tell us. And I do know fentanyl is not smoked typically by putting it on weed. it is smoked the way you would smoke crack. It's different. Yes, it is very common. It is the, a DEA agent was telling me about how common it has become in California, and it's kind of migrating its way across the country as a common practice. Most people I know who use cannabis are peaceful people, though, for sure. I know plenty of them, and this psychosis, it's not a common occurrence, but it's a risk that people are resistant to recognize. And now, as cannabis is becoming more and more kind of mainstream, there's new levels of research going on to evaluate what kind of impact it has. And I know that there are people out there who would argue, well, who's funding the research? Are the pharmaceutical companies funding the research? I, I don't know. I know that more research is happening, and I know more data is coming out about whatever whatever health risks and whatever health benefits are associated with cannabis. But it I think it's got to be unrealistic to think that there's enough information out there to conclusively determine that it is safe or dangerous. But in general, if you're inhaling a hot smoke, there's going to be a little bit of harm somewhere in that chain of events, regardless of what's in the smoke. Just the fact that it's hot can do a little bit of harm. So, but holy cow, the weed argument is it's crazy. It it polarizes people very quickly. But it'll be very interesting to see what kind of information we return from Denver with. And we will be going back to Pensacola, Florida for more stories. And we're going to be going to Portsmouth, Virginia. So anyone in that area anyone in that area who has a story to tell, there's still some open spots in the schedule if you would like to share your story with us while we're in Portsmouth. After Portsmouth and Pensacola, I'm not sure which is first. After those destinations, we'll be going to Seattle, Washington. And that's going to be an interesting experience. We may be doing a ride along with some law enforcement while we're there. Maybe. But I don't know if that is confirmed yet or not, but it is likely. We did a ride along when we shot in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We rode along with a sheriff's deputy with the sheriff's department in Bernalillo County, and that was interesting for sure. Really glad you're here, Sadie. Since especially since you're the one carrying the conversation. So who else is with us? Who else has something to share? Where else are you guys at? What part of the country or what part of the world? Sadie, have you been with us since the beginning? I showed a short video segment uh, early on in this broadcast, I showed a short video segment. It was a behind the scenes video, just showing some of what happens during an actual interview with a storyteller. It's from an event that we did right here, Texas Pictures World Headquarters. The beginning was well, it was 51 minutes ago. So I don't know if you saw the video. It's a couple of minutes long. I was thinking I might play it again. It's during an interview for a fentanyl story that was right here in the studio that we shot last Saturday, and it's just a small segment. So I might cue that up in a moment and let you guys see that. Some people are curious about how we make these stories technically, how we do the interviews, how the interview subject talks with us, and how they seem comfortable. So who's Sadie? Are you the one in New York? Yes. All right. So on our website, I'm gonna share with you a a, a link to a page on our website that explains how we call them when we do these. No, not going away. I'm going to explain this link on our website right there. That's our website. That's not our channel. It's our website. There's a page that explains how the storytelling summits work, where they begin, what we need, and how things evolve. And also on that page is a couple of videos of people talk. Thank you, Sadie. There's a couple of people talking about they'll be quiet all day long until I do this. And then they'll find something to bark at. Just happens. So there's a couple of videos on that page that are interviews with people who just shared their story, and there is a story on our channel. I can give you a link to that too. There's a story on our channel that is about the process of sharing a story, and here's a link to that story right there. It's called The Storyteller Experience, and we interview several storytellers. They're either fentanyl storytellers or addiction recovery storytellers, and they talk about what the experience is like. There's more behind the scenes stuff in that video, and it is just 8 minutes long, and you might find it interesting. We have a really good time on these events. Okay, sorry. I get messages. I don't know. Clearly, you would think everyone would know that I'm doing a live thing, but no. I get these messages, and that's all right. There's only 4 people here, but this guy isn't one of them. So I just got to do that. We're getting there's something actually for the event in Oklahoma. Did you share the live? Yeah, I did. Uh, I did. I made an announcement about the live in the thing in the thing. I made a post about the live on our channel in the community section before. So a big deal. What's the big deal, Sadie? Uh, I'm 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 not a big deal. So Sadie, one of the things that we do is we have a private Facebook group. It's called Texas Picture Storytellers, and the only way to get in the group is by invitation. But it's the main. Well, I appreciate that. The main purpose of the group is to keep people together. Whereas virtually all of the storytellers on our channel are part of the group. Not all, but virtually all. There's a few that aren't on Facebook, and so. But if you find me on Facebook and friend me, and then message me, I can send you a link to join the group. That if you'd like to try to be a part of a storytelling summit in New York somewhere, uh, we can make that happen. We've received several inquiries from New York, and whenever we hear from someone who has any interest in us doing that, we always encourage them to be a part of the Facebook group, because with the whenever we have an event set up, look, there's my name. So whenever we have an event set up, we announce it in the group first. That way, people who have joined the group who haven't yet shared their story but want to will see the announcement, and if it's in their area, they get first crack at signing up. So that's how it works. There are, I believe, there's two or three other people in um, in the New York, New Jersey area that have expressed an interest that ought to be a part of the group. The group has around I want to say 550 members right now. So yeah, if you find me, just find my name on Facebook. It ought to be kind of easy, I guess. And then send me a message reminding me that I need to send you an invite to join the group. I think you'll find the group pretty interesting. So so we can certainly make that happen. You added me. All right. That's awesome. I appreciate it, Sadie, and I will get an invite to you pretty quick. There's also strange. I'm looking and I see a Balatera. In the group, you'll be able to find most of the storytellers that you've seen in the series. There is also a bunch of people who mostly are people who lost someone to fentanyl that want to share their story whenever we get to whatever part of the country they're in. And so it's a great mix, and I will get you. I'll get you in the group right away. And so the kind of things that happen in the group, whenever we publish a new story, it's announced there right away. The storytellers are usually members, and they kind of communicate with each other some. and then they also help each other. It's a informal, great way to network, and a lot of the storytellers have their own nonprofit organization or some other kind of fentanyl awareness efforts that they're doing. Uh, so so that's the kind of people that are there. They can be there's a lot of people who don't who don't post much, if anything, but just take it in. I'm sorry. What was your? I'm looking. I'm trying to Bala. Okay. Okay, I get it now. Sorry. So we will get an invite to you right away. I think. There it is. So there you go. The invite ought to be there. So anybody else? Does anyone have any questions for us? Things that you might like to know about our channel or about how our storytelling summits work or anything like that? Is there any other questions from anyone in the audience? This is a great chance to ask questions because we're not really addressing anything specific other than we have a premiere tonight, 8:15 Central Time, of a new story in the series, a story told by the father, and his son died of fentanyl poisoning. His son was, I believe, 23 years old. And there's something very, very cool to me about a father telling the story because fathers, it's harder for fathers because it is not a line that fathers typically cross. That part of the role of a father is to kind of be the rock, keep it in. I knew I was taking fentanyl. Yeah, there's more and more stories that we have in our series that are like that are not. It's not a surprise thing. It's not something that was in a pill that was a counterfeit Xanax or something. And there's plenty of stories in our series that are like that. There are people who were deliberately using fentanyl. We've heard from people who have this misconception that that like a Xanax or a Percocet or Adderall that they'll call them laced pills, and that really is kind of implying that whoever made it started off with a legitimate pharmaceutical. That they started off, if it's a counterfeit Xanax, that they started off with a real Xanax and added stuff, and that is not true. That is not how it works. It is not a laced Xanax. It is a counterfeit Xanax. It is a fake. It isn't a Xanax at all. It isn't a Percocet at all. It isn't an Adderall at all. It's not laced. It's counterfeit. It's fake. It is fake, 100% fake. Wow, off I went. Okay. So we have been here just a little bit over an hour, so it's about time to wrap it up. But I want to thank everyone for joining us. And Sadie, you should certainly feel free to keep in touch. Appreciate appreciate all you did for us on this impromptu live event that we just made happen. And I want to make sure if there's any other questions out there, any of the other folks in the room who have questions who haven't really said anything yet. Last chance. Now, good luck, Sadie. Sadie, you should join us for the live event this evening. We're going to be live after the premiere. The premiere's at 8:15. The story is, I want to say, 24 minutes long. As soon as the story is over, we'll be live. We'll be doing this again. And those live events later in the evening have larger audiences. And typically, there is 7 or 8 people in the audience who are also in recovery, who have gotten to the point where they know each other just through these events, or that's how it started. And some of them have exchanged email addresses or are connected on some social media or whatever. And so you should really make a point to come back. We will, during the live event, we're supposed to have the storyteller on for a while. And so it'll be a good event, but I think that you might really like interacting with some of the people that are in the chat who will have things to share, much like Celtic Forest Fairy. Good luck. Good support. It's a great network of people. So you should join it. And I always stress to everyone that you're always welcome to reach out to me. We are here for you guys. And so here's how you can reach us. There is our email address, info@texas-pictures.com. You can also find us on Facebook, just as Sadie just did. And we have a presence on TikTok, but messages don't always get to us in any kind of timely fashion. And then you can also visit our website, texas-pictures.com. And on our website is a mailing address and a link to our merchandise store, which is cute. And there is our phone number and other information about how Fentanyl Storytelling or any storytelling summit works, what to expect as a storyteller, and other interesting information. So please feel free to explore and to stay in touch. And we will be back at 8:15 Central Time this evening. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.